So this week we are gonna visit a really cool boatyard.
And the coolest thing is the guy giving us a tour, Thorsten, right there, is the guy, he didn't know that, but he taught me how to maneuver our old boat because he has such a good video that a long time ago I watched his video. I'm like, this guy know how to teach how to maneuver a boat. And that's how I learned. He's the owner of Sirius. We are here in Germany to visit Sirius Boatyard, and we're gonna give you a really cool tour of their boatyard. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Roberta.
And I'm Duca.
And after bringing a sailboat that was neglected for over 22 years back to life, we moved aboard, and for the next 2 years we explored the Brazilian coast and part of the Caribbean, where we got an offer that changed our lives once again. We sold our boat and we moved to France, where we are building our new 43-foot aluminum exploration sailboat.
And while the boatyard is building the whole of our new sailboat, we are learning the craft by converting a camper van to get ready to build the interior and all the systems of the boat ourselves.
So don't forget to subscribe and to join us every Sunday for a new episode.
Let me introduce to you our guide for today, Thorsten, the guy that taught me how to maneuver our boat. Thank you, by the way, I appreciate it. No, it's true.
Nice to meet you guys. I'm following you on video since a while, but yeah.
Yeah,
nice to have you finally here.
We are here at Sirius Yachts because we are going to learn how to build a proper deck saloon boat today. No, we
I hope you can snatch up some.
No, the truth is we really like the concept of Sirius boats, and it's been a long time we've been seeing videos and pictures of the boats, but we never had the chance to see one in person. Yeah. And when we did some boat tours of aluminum boats mainly, our audience always said, you should be serious, you should be serious. And on the last video we did, we said we're going to visit a boatyard on the north of Germany, and people are like, oh, you're going to go to Sirius. Yeah. Here we are.
See that? Yeah. Very good.
Let's go for a tour. There's always something new to learn.
This is pretty much how the cascos get here.
Okay.
The only thing what we've done, we have already made the quality checking and have put some protective foil on it. And on this side we have mounted the cleats and the stanchions, cords and the rubbing strake. This is literally an empty shell.
Yeah.
And we can have a look inside.
That's a completely empty hole. That's the beginning of everything. That's pretty cool. So I think with the empty hole, we could talk about structure. What features you have on the structure that make a stiff hole and I don't know how to access this. You understand what I mean, right?
I understand exactly what you mean, and that's a topic where I can talk on for hours. There are totally different types of aluminium boats, there are totally different types of GLP boats. You always have to see where they're built from and for what reasons they are built and under which premises. On this case here we have a very strong glass fiber hull, which is cored with the Veneer cell foam. These are the yellow areas which you can see here in the deck and in the hull above the waterline, to make insulation and to make them stiffer on the outside and to leave less bulkheads inside. And one of the most important things, or the two most important connections on a GLP boat, are always keel joints and the deck and hull joint. The special thing on the way we are building our boats is that we make the deck and hull joint as the first step. So the hull joint is behind here and it's glass fibered over on the inside totally. So technically speaking, it's not a deck and the hull as separate part anymore, it's one piece, because the laminate, which is glass fibered over here, is the same thickness like the deck. And so you have no creaking, you have no leaking, there's no movement in it possible. Yeah. And after that we start to fit in the bulkheads and all the interior. Most of our boats are twin keel boats, and they are designed to hit the ground twice a day for the next 50 years or 100 years. And so the integrity of the hull and the strength of the whole system has to be something to see here as well. All the fittings which we build into the boat are always made in a way that you can get later to them, not by cutting up furniture and cutting away furniture, but by putting the nuts and bolts into epoxy. Which means if you want to take a track for the Genoa off, you can just screw that off from the outside. The nuts will stay in here, and you can do whatever you have to do on the track, and then you can use the same nuts and bolts, or say nuts underneath to put that bedding.
To be honest, one of the big reasons I always like metal boats is because we don't have true boats.
Yeah.
We have everything welded. Yeah, that's pretty good. With epoxy resin, it's pretty much welded in a different way, but it's welded.
So this is only a small part. Only a small part of our stock on Safety mahogany. This is the main material we use for interior. We have other options as well. Has the nicest qualities in many ways. And as we are building every little part, every wooden part ourselves in-house here, we're using that from the same tree. Okay. About 7 to 10 boats have the exact same internal color.
And how long does the wood sit here before you actually get to use the wood? Because you dry, probably you leave a little while.
Yeah, well, the whole process is much longer, but we normally have the wood on stock 2 to 3 years in advance. We can't have all the tree here. This is only a small part of it. We have that on stock with our distributors.
Oh, and they dry for you.
And they dry for us, yeah, and they cut for us.
Yeah.
And then we get it, and we just if we need more, we just.
That's great.
By the way, we're here today to steal ideas because we are on the fence of which wood you want to use for the interior of our boat, and we know Sirius uses a lot of sabbatical mahogany. That's this wood right in front of us, and we are here because we want to see the final product on sabbatical to understand if that's the right wood. So we're here to, like, espionage.
That's fine.
Friendly espionage.
That's fine.
No, and to admire the work because it's beautiful.
You're welcome. Interesting, maybe also, this is the smallest dimensions we have, 65 millimeters. Obviously, we also have veneers, but the same system, we buy the whole trees for the veneers and have that cut.
It's like a puzzle, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a puzzle out of actually about 10,000 parts. And then you add about 10,000 man hours, and then you eventually have both.
And then you go see.
You will experience that.
See, now you understand why yours is low. That's it. It's 10,000 parts. You need to be 2 people. Yours is low.
Yeah. Well, we have.
I mean, you are fast. I'm not.
We have 80 guys working here.
80?
So 80, yeah.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So that means we have an excuse. We can be slow. We're just 2.
Building 4 to 5 boats parallel to each other.
Okay.
And building time is about 3.5 to 4 months. It's, as I said, it's a big puzzle, but it's for 5 puzzles at the same time, simultaneously, and they're all in different stages. So that's the reason we have to.
You need to be organized. Otherwise, you're in trouble. For us, 1 boat at a time.
I would recommend that.
Yeah, we do what you do.
So we walk over to the CNC area where all the plates are cut.
Can I do just a shortcut that I just saw something that I always wanted to do and I planned to do on the boat and I didn't see before? That's literally what I've been talking to Roberta for months. I want to build a shower cabin, a capsule, and just like slide in place.
So CNC area here. As you see, it's all in 3D. All the drawings are in 3D with all the techniques in it. Well, it's broken down to 2Ds, and then we have the netting and nesting, which brings that onto the plates. And the CNC milling process makes it possible for us to have all the drill holes, all the cut-throughs, everything on the plate already. So it's all made into 2D, and then it can be assembled after.
So when you start a new boat, you do all the cutting at once for that specific boat to have all the same plywood, or not really? Or
it's a process which goes over a few weeks.
Okay.
Because it's different plywoods, it's different materials. We're using. Some parts are milled here, and then they go directly into the boat as they are, and others need 4 weeks of assembly and dishes to be fit in and drawers to be fit in, and so that's a longer process.
And do you have any idea of how many hours goes into cutting one boat, like a 40 for example? How many days of CNC cutting? Is that a week or a month or?
Well, I would say it's about 2 weeks, but we're not working 24/7.
Of course,
working days.
So that's a magic that you can cut. Like you ask the computer, cut this file. It's like if you needed to do by hand, like we're gonna do by hand, it would take so much longer.
You spare a lot of money, but then you have years put into the files up front before they're ready for cutting.
You need to be in series to make sense, pretty much.
This is more or less what comes out of the CNC process. So what you see here is about 2.5 boats, and then you have lots of lists with part numbers and drawings where it's all hooked up. for different parts. It's all coded, so
Yeah.
every single part
Yeah.
which we put in hand, which we take in our hands, has a specific position in the boat,
Yeah.
and it's for a specific boat.
Okay.
We are not building parts on stock,
Mhm.
because our boats are various and customers can influence the design.
Mhm.
We have lots of different versions, and then we have matching colors
Which wood is this one?
for the floorboards.
Okay.
We don't use real wood.
Oh, that's not real wood.
No, it's not.
That's really
looks
well
like.
fake one.
Yeah, it's very non-slippery
Yeah.
because of the grain in it. For us, it's a nice thing, especially we talked about the different color scheme in the boat.
Yep.
So we have that in levels. So we have the ceiling, which is white. We have the floor, which have a totally different color to the interior, and then we have the level of the saloon upholstery and the galley surface. And this is very nice if you get that aligned nicely, so that it's nice for the eye. When the hull comes, we place a laser inside the boat
Yep.
and lots of measurement spots, and then we make a 3D model of the interior. And every bump and every bulk, so we can check we know the hull thickness and
Yeah.
every position, deck thickness and every position after that. And this file can be adapted to the files.
Okay.
So when there is a bump somewhere in a laminate,
Yeah.
the CNC cutting machine, CNC cutting file will make the same bump.
So
into
you
the bulkhead.
correct the 3D model after done. So
Yeah.
we call in Brazil as built.
Yeah.
When you have the architecture drawing, you
Yeah.
build something and then you do a second drawing that's the as-built drawing.
Yeah.
So you do that
Yeah.
to make sure the bulkhead
Yeah.
is exactly.
Yeah.
Didn't thought about it.
And then your bulkhead comes into the boat, just fits.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's pretty good.
We have a building meter through all the boat.
Okay.
There's one positioning level, like
Yeah.
a water line, which is about a meter up. And this is on every bulkhead and every part. So wherever you're on a boat, you have the orientation, and all the drawings say, well, this shelf is 20 centimeters from zero,
Yeah.
from meter.
Yeah.
And so you can measure wherever you're on a boat are. You have this markings.
Oh, a reference line.
Reference line.
That's already
That's also
We like to do that. Learning. That's learning for today.
So here we have a galley. It looks a bit skeleton, but it's ready to build into the boat. So it has been fully equipped. The cooker has been in, the fridge has been in, the sink has been in, the curry on top has been on top of that, and all the dishes from the customer have been fitted into.
This is interesting.
And the glasses.
Yeah.
So we ask our customers to deliver us their china and their glasses and everything which needs to be seaworthy fitted, and then we build the supports for that. And then we deassemble that afterwards again, because this is heavy stuff.
Yep.
It's a big part,
Yep.
and we don't want to damage any of the parts. It's a cable tube, which makes it easier to bring cables and tubes and whatever you have to retrofit.
So here is not painted because you're gonna
Laminate glass fiber that into the boat.
So that means everything is a structure.
Correct. Every bulkhead which we put into the boat, either whether it comes to the deck or to the hull, will be glass fibered in and add to the skeleton and add to the structure also. So this is one of the first finished parts here, and one of the biggest and most complicated parts we can set into the boat as a room. So this is 435. It's a galley.
Is that fully finished?
Yes.
I like this.
Behind is also designed for ventilation. Just see the hole in here. So the whole system of the drawers is safe for not breaking them out, but it's a mechanical system. And we add an extra mechanical system in case of this, in form of this strap. And that will be fed through here and screwed in here as a fail safe.
So the line is like a linter.
Correct.
You cannot go more in that because the line is going to hold in place.
Correct. And it will stretch slightly, so take some of the force, because these guys are heavy.
Yeah.
You have lots of groceries in there, lots of tins or whatever.
Add to the list of stealing ideas.
And you will forget to close them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Carpenter workshop here, pre-cut the Sabini mahogany bolts into smaller pieces. There was a time until 12 years ago or 10 years ago where we even made the GRP parts here.
Okay.
So we've built them for 42 years
Okay.
ourselves, and then we outsourced that. And now it's still built in our molds and still built with our materials, with our quality sheets, but it's not been done here anymore.
Okay. So, talking about it, how long has Sirius been around?
We are around now since 54 years.
54 years?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And did the size of the boats increase along the years, or you start already during the 40s? The 40s was not in the beginning, right? So it was smaller and growing.
No. Some 45 years ago, a 26 feet boat was a luxury yacht and really big, and it's not anymore. It started with 26 feet and 24 feet, 31.
And how many total boats?
One before the one which we finished on Monday, the one before that 2 weeks earlier were the 777s. So roughly 800.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And how long does it take to build, let's say, the 40 DS from beginning to finish?
Yeah, so it's a whole process. If we count the GP molding into it, then it's roughly about 5 to 6 months.
Don't expect us to be that fast.
The real build inside the yard here is about 3.5 to 4 months.
That's not good. You're just like making us look bad in the future. No, because you're going to take like 4 years and people are going to be like...
Remember,
just for reference,
they have been building boats for
54
years. They have a lot of experience.
and it's 80 employees.
Yeah, true. So if we divide us by 8, then you're good.
Yeah.
These are the rubbing strakes for the boat. For us, it's always important that the widest part of the boat is not the hull, but the rubbing strake. So this is 8 centimeters of the total width of the hull, 4 centimeters each side. It's the rubbing strakes, and they can take a lot of stress because it's Iroko. It's a very long-grained wood, and you can't curve that in, so you can't press anything into it. If you try, if you have a teak, you make a mark with your fingernail, you won't be able to do that here. It's very resistant.
It's really resistant to salt water also.
Yes, it doesn't need any oil or any varnish on it. It stays like it is. This is what we call our bench room. So it's part of the carpentry. We work on benches here, which can all elevate up and down. And lots of parts are put together here. Entrance step 435, which will have a drawer from this side here. That's already varnished on the outside. It's just set together here.
The level of detail, that's really cool. That's beautiful.
This comes in here.
So that's the final color, right?
Yeah.
It's really nice.
This edge band, that's really thick. Like it seems like at least.
Yeah.
How thick is this?
It's 4 millimeters. And we like to build boats, or we like to think that our boats might last 120 or 140 years. And that's lots of the design thoughts in the process is not only to make us able to build this boat. We can do that on totally different ways. It would be easier and cheaper, but we want to build boats which really last. So, for example, the thickness of the veneer. If you buy a normal boat building plate today, it's 0.4 millimeters. It's typical stuff. We use 1.5 millimeters thickness. 0.4 millimeters would be totally okay for us to work with. Won't be our problem. But if you think 100 or 120 or 140 years, you will have to revarnish things. And on 0.4 millimeters, you cannot even sand it down once. You will be through it. And here you have a lot of leeway on that. And for the edges, obviously, the thicker they're easier. If you bump them, you can still sand something off and they won't fall apart.
And talk about like bumping. How resistant is sapele mahogany for like when you're walking with something into the boat and you hit something on the wall? Is resistant to impact or how?
You mentioned deciding about different wood types. So sapele is kind of the ideal wood for interior for boats because it is hard wearing, it is quite even in structure, and it's very UV resistant, and it's even very water resistant. So lots of the lighter woods are lacking all this. They start to fade a lot, they start to yellow, they start to get darker by UV light. They get black immediately when they get in contact with salt water, and it's very deep in, so it's very difficult to get that out again.
Okay.
There are ways to do lighter interiors without all these problems. Very special product as well. But if you want to have the wood itself, ideally, then sapele is a very good choice. Kaya is another possibility.
He's a good seller. We might do sapele here. No, we are really leaning towards. So our van interior is going to be sapele.
Okay.
We not all, but some details on sapele. Really like dark interiors, and nowadays seems like most of the boats have light interiors. And you have a thought on that? Why you?
Well, we have discussions with our customers since 20 years about lighter colors, but the thing is, if I can understand if you're coming from a normal boat's perspective, where you go the companionway 6 steps down and then you're inside the hull and you're surrounded totally by wood, then a dark color might be a bit oppressing on that. But on a deck saloon, especially on our boats, where you have all visibility around, you come in, you're looking out of the window. And you get all the light from the outside, and the wood is just the accessoire around that, or the nice framework around that. And especially if you're in very sunlit areas, a darker color is also a bit nicer on the ice than if it's
reflects too much. So then you get a license to have darker wood because you have a lot of windows.
Correct.
Pretty much. We have that license too. That's pretty good. This is a really cool piece. That's like one piece of furniture that has so many different reasons to
utilities.
He's so many utilities. He's going to explain you all the utilities of one piece.
But it's quite complex because if you see it from this side, it's already the ready painted interior, and if you look down and look up here, there's already the white ceiling underneath. We will see this part again when we're inside the boat, because this is the middle layer of the deck saloon. So where we are actually now, boat-wise, we are in the central cabin. If you come around here, this is part of the workshop. And you have the place for the air condition here, here's the cool fan, the air condition coming out. And this is where the electric switches will be, switchboard. And this is the workshop with a workbench, one here. Whereas from this side, you're in the saloon. And this is where the table will be and where you sit on the bench.
It's much easier to work here on the bench than inside the boat, of course.
So this is another part of the carpentry workshop.
It's really cool that you can see all the details when the furniture is outside of the boat. You can see all the behind the scenes.
They have all the holes already for everything. That's why it's quicker.
Yes.
This is the area where we normally assemble the bulkheads. So all the pre-cut bulkheads from CNC we put together here, and the doors will be built.
And the bulkhead goes into the boat as one piece, the big one?
Yeah, including the doors. So when we put a bulkhead into the boat, before we fix it, we have the door in with all the slot, all the fittings. Because it's wood after all, so there could be 0.5 millimeter here, 0.5 millimeter there, and we can fit that. So when we build the bulkheads here, the cutouts are already made, so the doors is already cut from that. And we fit that with all the fittings, and they are stored over here. So this is from 3 different boats, all the internal doors. They have been in when we fitted the bulkheads into the boat, and then they've been taken out, and they are here UV protected for the time being. And about 3 weeks before finishing, the door will be finished, varnished, and when we have the finished boat on the last day, we just go into the boat with the door, fit it in, and close it, and it's all perfect around there.
And this is, you said 30 millimeters, right?
Yeah. A lot of bulkheads.
Red things are glue?
Yep, color them.
Oh, okay.
So then you can see if there are remains.
And
so they're easier to remove. Otherwise, if you have a transparent glue, which is naturally transparent,
it's going to show up with time with yellows.
No, it shows up only when you are in the process of varnishing it. Then suddenly you see, there's some glue, and you have to take it away.
I've learned
and
something.
So we put some coloring in it,
That's
so it's
smart.
easier to see and easier to remove than for us. So this is mainly building material.
That's a nice shop.
This is commissioning.
Okay.
So every part you see here is for a specific boat. See the boat number here?
Yeah.
It's 40, number 39.
Okay.
And we have all the materials on stock before we start the build of the boat. And it's all packed together in specific numbers. So when the guys in the workshop are starting this process, they are looking into their lists which package they will need, and then they get a full package in a box. So everything is in you screw everything what they need together. So they don't have to go to the store and assemble things. They get that assembled to their working space.
So that's this client's shelf.
Yeah.
That's his storage place.
Including his dishes and So this is big part storage here. So here you have the engine fundaments, solar panels, outboard engines, hatches.
So I thought that these were cut out of their boats, but it's not. Where is this from?
No, these are super yachts cutouts, also cutouts from super yacht builders, and we buy that in. They would throw it away.
Yeah.
And we use this heavy stuff out of glass fiber laminate to cut special reinforcements out of it. So for example, if we have a block where the mast support is standing on, is a full size block of about this size out of full laminate, and that would take us ages to laminate that all on. And so we cut this in times and glue that together, and it's a full laminate.
That's really cool. So somehow you can say that Sirius
recycle.
are part recycled boats.
Correct.
That's really awesome. Never thought about that.
It's
Really
like a
cool.
super yacht.
Yeah. Oh, you can say that Sirius is a super yacht.
Parts of super
Part super yacht.
Correct. Ingredients.
Yeah, ingredients.
Ingredients.
Super yachts ingredients.
Parts of it might be spurs of super yachts in it.
Yes. So how many pieces you have on a boat?
About 10,000. That's the puzzle, including all the wood parts.
Yeah.
So
he's pretty much trying to scare us of building our own boat, because
no.
you need to find a way of putting
will
10,000
manage.
parts together.
You will manage.
And not just that, we need to find out how to glue them together,
Yeah.
which paints to
The
use.
finishings and Can I sit here to check the
Yes, please.
visibility?
You want to have full visibility, and for that reason, what we refer to as a real deck saloon is 360 degrees view all around. This design, all technical stuff are in the workshop or in the navigation corner.
Okay.
Obviously, you have some tanks and pumps and whatever in other areas, but because of the workshop, this is the place where all the stuff for the water maker, your tools, but also all the electric all the connections, everything which needs service is not behind some cladding and under beds and whatever, but it's in one room.
And easier to find tools when you have problems.
This
I'm
is
getting
the
really
35.
curious to see the ready boat tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now it's like this, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
And this is a 35.
Oh, this is the 35. That's the true. Yeah, we're not on the 40. That's the
Yeah.
35.
40 is 60 centimeters wider. It's not so much the length, it's the width of the boat. The 35 is quite narrow in beam. It's only 3.5 meters, which is perfect for the Baltic and for some areas where you have tiny harbors. And we did need more to achieve what we want to achieve. But if you want to have, for example, an aft cabin as well as the front cabin and the central cabin, then you need some space to get into it.
Yep.
And so the 40 has a normal width of 4 meter, 12 meter long, whereas the 35 is relatively slim.
You remember the big piece with many features? That's the piece. So that means under here is not storage, is the air conditioning through the workshop. So
And some storage from the workshop.
yeah, exactly. It's really smart.
And the cabin underneath.
Yeah.
You will see tomorrow. This is because this is also leveled in a way that you can work when you're here. You can work on a galley and can slide through the whole boat. Here will be another support over here. And wherever you go, you always have something to grab on. Here will be the chart table on top here, which comes out here. Here is the support for the roof, which comes in later. So wherever you are, you have something to grab on, to lean on, or to slide through.
I really like this cabin.
On boat shows, we used to say that there's a floor contact down there.
Mm-hmm.
So when people come around the corner and step onto the floor contact,
They stay here.
no, it makes them say wow. Because I'm not expecting a full-size cabin down here.
Yeah, this cabin is huge. It's massive. The access to the batteries.
Just that. That's
That's the battery box.
correct. Here we have all the weight in the center of the boat
Mm-hmm.
because we are a bit higher, which we are in total not.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are a bit higher, so we can have all the heavy stuff like the batteries, like the fuel tank, and like all the storage in the galley. There where the skipper wants to have the weight, in the center of the boat, in the middle, very deep down.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
We have a door in front of here,
Mm-hmm.
which people think is a shower door. It's not. The shower door is inside.
Okay.
This door is the front cabin door, but as you want to hand airing through the boat normally over day when you're not sleeping,
Uh-huh.
it's always placed here. So that's a storage space for the front cabin door. And if you want to, if you use the door, if you
Uh-huh.
go to sleep, you just close it to this side.
Okay.
I'm standing in the heads now, and because we have the central cabin here as the owner's cabin, and a likewise nice cabin in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Every cabin has its own door into the heads.
Yep.
So if you're with a couple, you first of all don't have to think about giving them your cabin because it's
Mhm.
almost nicer. They're both nice. And also when you are at night and want to go to the toilet, you can just go directly. You don't
Yeah.
have to walk through the public.
Yeah, we're looking forward to build a boat from scratch instead of refitting an old one. It's going to be hard anyways. We always believe it's going to be easier, but the old boat is like, I don't know. Seems like back 30 years ago you didn't use the same amount of equipment that you use today.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And finding space for more batteries, for more electronics,
Yeah.
was really, really tricky to find the space. Hopefully now it's going to be different. So that's synthetic teak and it feels like real teak actually.
We don't use teak anymore.
Oh. So the chain lock is here.
And if you're maneuvering in the front, you stand down there. You stand up. If you stand up, you're just the right height to hold yourself on a rail and look over it for the anchor. Well, this boat is about 35% in the finishing process.
Okay.
So we started the build here about 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks.
Don't expect that from us. Just to be clear here. Just to be clear. 6 weeks we're going to be thinking about how to do the floor support. That's all.
And maybe interesting because the saloon
Yep.
settee is not in. That's the part we've seen on the workbench there.
Mm-hmm.
But the galley have come in this week.
Okay.
And as you can also see, we don't have the roof on top, which is easy for us because we can bring in all the big stuff and all the big parts.
Mm-hmm.
The whole boat is designed in a way that all the things which need maintenance can go in and out through the door.
Mm-hmm.
So all the tanks, the engine, everything which might have to go out in the next 100 years to come,
Yep.
goes through the door.
That's awesome.
But the galley and the saloon area
It's
and
not
all the
necessary.
sides, and so they can come in through the roof, and then when that's all in, then the roof goes in.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to step down here?
Yeah, sure.
That's how deep the storage is.
It goes much deeper. This is only the surface of the battery support.
Mm-hmm.
The storage is deeper.
So all this volume is storage. So all of this space, I don't know if you can see. Yeah. All of this is storage.
I spent 11 and a half weeks on the first 40 ever built.
Yeah.
I had 926 kilos of food and brochures loaded here in the yard. and especially with this deep storages here at the very bottom under a separation plate, I had the things which I want to find after 2 months, like a Nutella and some special treats.
When you sail full time, you never know when is the next port that you have cheap and good food. So whenever you find a cheap port with good food, you buy a lot and then you just eat from there.
So we are in the 40 now,
Yeah.
and this boat is 60 centimeters wider, and that gives us the space to have another entrance, another companionway down here, or another storage lazaret.
So that's the beauty of the 40. You have another room here. And a pretty big one, actually.
So this is a 40, you have a totally different hull reinforcement here, which is much higher, tubes, and much wider beams. If you can see around here, that's all additional storage as well. But you get an idea of how much force it's spreaded over the whole.
And this grid is all fiberglass to the boat.
Yeah, it's all glassed in together with the hull, and spread the weight and the force which you get in from the rigging. You see a comparison here to my hand. It's a little nut here.
And you have a stringer too on the 40.
Yes.
On the 35 you don't, right?
No.
Okay.
We like on the 35, we use the bulkheads as an extra reinforcement as well. They're all glass fibered into the hull. Wherever a wooden part is touching the deck or the hull, it's used as an extra kit and as an extra skeleton. But generally speaking, the hull itself is bigger, wider. It's a longer boat, so you have much higher reinforcement structure. So this is where you have a toilet in the very center of the boat, in longitudinal direction, so which is standing here. So you can brace yourself in the seaway, and on the 40 you have another head in the front.
Oh, there's another head here.
Yeah.
One thing that I really like is that it seems like everywhere you need, you have access to technical parts. For example, the chain plate right here, I can tell that you have already a cutoff.
Yeah.
That you always have access to that if you need in the future, because you might need one day, and it's right there.
And also a difference to production boats where cabling and plumbing is behind all the stuff and then the furniture comes in. We start to build in the electrics and water systems in the very last step. When the whole build is finished and every interior part is in, then we start with cabling, and so you get to it afterwards as well.
Oh, you do the way that's the way I believe, actually.
Well, this is the keel of a 35. It's a commie keel, so from here on, downwards it's lead, and this here is cast iron.
Okay.
So that's the best way to distribute the different weights and to get the best uprighting moment out of it.
And how heavy is this one?
This one is probably around 2.5 tons. Yeah, so this is one of our rudders. Different color here. That's not on your boat, but this is because rudder is aluminium and anti-fouling is copper.
Oh, it's the transition.
Yes.
So that's a different anti-fouling used in this position. And what's very important also for you is if you buy Jeffa stock, and buy this sheath here as well.
Okay.
It's glued in with epoxy.
Okay.
And it makes the area where the water line is and the area where the ball bearings or where the bearings are running makes it absolutely corrosion resistant.
No. We've been here for one day and the boat's already different. That's insane. So I don't know if you remember, but earlier on this video at some point it was open. Now we have already. By the way, this is the piece that was on the workshop, right?
Yeah, and we actually saw the area where the air condition comes in.
Yep.
And the ready finished roof on the other side. You can walk around and see that.
So that means in one video the boat is like almost done already. Now you can see that bed is here. The seat and the table is right there. I hope this was not too messy, because when we visit boatyards, half of me wants to make a video, but half of me just want to enjoy and learn things. Yeah, just play around and learn things. I hope you enjoy the tour, because next video is going to be us going sailing in one of the boats, and we're going to film also other boats that are ready. So a lot of cool boat tours, but that's for next week, because I think that's way too long already. What's your guess? How many minutes this video?
I don't know. We are together
guess.
here since now 8 hours, aren't we?
We overheat the camera maybe 5 times already. We start with the GoPro, go to the big one, go to the GoPro, and so it's gonna be. We'll see. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour.
I hope you enjoyed it.
See you next week.
See you.